All right, I've started up again. Hello, everyone. I'm here. Sorry I took an extra couple of minutes, but someone was nice enough to bring donuts, and I had to have what was supposed to be half a donut, and then it turned into a full one, but it was very good. All right, want to talk to you guys about a number of things for probably the next 20 minutes before Shant gets here and jumps into his mortgage update. First, want to talk about the market a little bit. I peeked at what Christine Miranda sent out this morning, and then I called Jerry and discussed it with him as I was almost here. And it's pretty darn clear that the market is in a very odd situation. Obviously, the economy is slowing down, right? We know that's happening. There's no debate about that. Interest rates went up, so it decreased the amount of buyers. Normally, when those two things happen, listings go up fast. Okay. We saw in the summer when it first happened, listings did start really going up, right? But now something interesting is happening. We got past Labor Day, and we'll know better after this week, but there is a noticeable decrease in August and in September in the amount of homes that are listed for sale across the country. So there was an initial burst of properties listed in June and July. I shouldn't say properties listed. I should say listings, because they weren't getting eaten up as fast. But there even was more properties listed. Stay with me here. I know I'm getting deep. Part of what's happening is sellers are saying, I don't want to list. The hell with that. If I sell my home and I buy another home, I'm going to be in a position where I'm giving up my 2.6% mortgage rate. And then if I buy a new home, I'm going to be at 6%? Hell no. This will not last forever, because we're getting back to a market where people do things out of needs. We just went through a 2-year period where people that didn't necessarily need to buy a bigger home did it because they were like, you mean to tell me I can sell this, get $250,000 in my pocket, even though I bought it a year and a half ago and I only put down 50, and I can buy that? Holy God. Okay, I'll do it. So the amount of leads, and this is why we talked about the amount of buyer leads, became so substantial, because first-time buyers that were renting, rates went down, affordability went up. All of a sudden, there's more first-time buyers. Then move-up buyers, wait, I can buy the big house. They went up. So the amount of buyers went like this. Now the amount of buyers has decreased. And until we see, and this is why I laugh when people say, oh, prices are going to fall out, prices are going to fall out. I don't know what can happen 2 to 3 years from now, but I can tell you in the next 12 months, they're not going to fall out. Is it possible that 2023 is flat? Yes. Is it possible that 2023, we could see the average sale prices be 5% less than 2022? I think that's possible, but I'll tell you, it's not that likely, and I wouldn't bet on it. If it were me, I'd bet on probably being even or maybe down a point or two. Will they be down this year? No. So when you read headlines that say home prices are down, like in July, nationally, they were down from June. You read these headlines, they're hilarious. When they measure all of 2022, they will not be down no matter what happens this fall, no matter how slow it gets. And the reason for that is prices ran up so much in the beginning of the year. We had such an extreme frenzy in the beginning of the year that the sold statistics in May, June, July, prices were much higher, especially April, May, June. So now we're adjusting down off of that, okay? I do think this period of less sellers being willing to list is going to stay here for a little bit. Might be a year. But what you'll see is sellers will cave. Human beings are great at saying they're not going to do things when they know in the back of their head they need to, and they just kick the can down the road. I told you all a story about the 3rd floor of my house 3 years ago. Oh, should we put a bathroom up there, move our daughter up there? I looked into it. My wife hears how much work goes into it. We're going to have to cut walls open. No, don't do it. Last year, we look into it again. Nah, don't do it. This year, we did it, right? People are getting back to moving because of needs. But right now, when you see the stock market acting wacky and things like that, it is easier for people to say, you know what? I'm going to hold off for a bit. I'm going to just wait. Understandable. That happens, okay? But they all won't wait a year. but you might see a lot of them wait till spring. So as I just said to my friends over here, you might have had to talk to 4 sellers to get 2 listings over the last year. Now you might need to talk to 6 sellers to get 2 listings over the next 6 months. And how do you do that? How do you talk to more? You've got to market yourself more for listings. You need to market the hell out of your sold statistics. Folks, if you sold something a month ago, reshare it again on Facebook, put it on a postcard, send it out again. Send your just solds out to your sphere of influence, not just a 100-house radius around the listing. Increase your messaging for listings. I'm telling you, you're going to need listings. You have buyers, you have to focus on buyers. We all need buyers, but you want to get your hands on listings, because if you have more listings at all times in the business, then you're going to have buyers coming to you. That creates buyer leads. You also have a huge opportunity now to get more commission. And don't get cocky and crazy, but every time the market slows down, all of a sudden, sellers start to have more respect for realtors. And they don't look at us like we're a dime a dozen, like they've been looking at us for the last 3 years. I talked about this in April at the Wailopo Summit in Las Vegas to 950 realtors. And I got a message last week from one in California that said, I distinctly remember you saying, when the market slows, because it's coming, you watch, sellers aren't going to ask about commission as much. And this agent said, Anthony, I'm not getting asked about commission nearly as much. So I decided 3 weeks ago to raise my commission back up again, and I'm getting it. And I replied and congratulated her and, went back and forth and gave her some additional tips and tricks. What's happening in the market in the long run is very good for us and very good for you. You're going to see people who aren't serious get out of the business. Those that are serious and that are committed are going to do better. There's a race to quality when there's problems in all industries. So right now we have home sellers that are suddenly they're just starting. Maybe 25% of them are starting to say, maybe the market's not what it was. And you need to get in there and explain that to them and talk to them and not be totally Debbie Downer, because the listings are still selling if you price right, but just getting them to understand that it's not quite like it was, right? They're going to respect you more. Now you watch. I'm telling you this now. There are going to be more expireds this fall and on December 31st than at least the last 4 falls, probably the last 8. Mark my words. And that's when you'll really see sellers respect realtors come next winter. And when you're the second one in, it's a beautiful thing, because they didn't listen to their first realtor in some cases. And in some cases, their first realtor was lazy about the way they listed the home, because some realtors have gotten lazy about the way they've listed homes, right? And they oh my God, wait, my listing, it's been on 5 days, it hasn't sold. What do I do? It's like, oh, welcome to real estate, folks. Mark's been doing this 20 years. I've been doing this 18. I can think of 6 months in 2005 where you didn't have to worry about a listing selling in the last 2 years. Other than that, Mark, it was always on your mind, like, is it going to sell? How fast is it going to sell, right? We got spoiled in the last 2 years. So don't be shy about going for your commission. I told you guys in a training 2 weeks ago when I was in Florida that Jackie pointed out something that I thought was very interesting to me. And that was in the fact that we're noticing on the company listings, meaning it might be from Relo, it might be from television, however, but on a company listing that gets assigned out to an agent, our average commission is higher than on the commission that agents are getting on their own listings. And she said, that's odd. And I said, yeah, it is odd, but it's also interesting and somewhat telling. And she and I and Dave were discussing it. We said, we know what's going on here. There's 2 things going on. When it's a company listing, an agent is going out and they have a little bit of a feeling in their mind of, the company wants me to get a full commission here. So that's having an impact. And there's something else having an impact. There's also agents saying to themselves, I have to give up a more sizable split on this one, so I'm not going with a lower commission. Okay, tell yourself that on your own listings, folks. Tell yourself those 2 things. You guys get my point? If you're able to get it with someone you've never met, someone you literally cold business that the company assigned to you, you're able to get a full commission. Why can't you get it on the people you know? Okay, folks, we're in a service business. We provide a higher caliber of service. Our agents are better trained. Our results are better. Our listings are selling at an average of, our list to sale price ratio, selling an average of 2% higher than all the other listings across the state of Massachusetts. We had a President's Club meeting on Saturday morning, and I showed this to everyone. We pulled two reports, the whole state and our company. Our listings year to date are selling for, and this is year to date, so the beginning of the year is in there, 106% of asking price. The competitors' listings are selling 104% of asking price. Those 2 points are a lot of money to people. $800,000 house, that's $16,000 difference to a seller. You should be touting that to your clients. Anybody argues with you about commission? Oh, so do you want a higher price or a lower commission, Mr. Seller? Which do you want here? Because our average is 2% higher than our competitors. So my commission, okay, it's a point higher. You get what you pay for. But on average, we're going to get you 2% more. And I'm a very experienced agent, and I've negotiated a lot of sales. And one wrong comment in a negotiation could cost you $10,000, Mr. Seller, and you'd never even know it. But that won't happen with me because I'm experienced and I'm used to dealing with this. And if you're not and you got to fluff that a little, fine. You guys get my point? Go after it. Don't be shy. It's going to be even easier by the time we get to winter. But even this fall, with some people that listed this spring and summer that were unable to sell, you go in, second man in, charge them. Folks, you're in business. We're in business to make money. Don't hide from that. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't be scared of that. Don't be nervous about that. They ask you your commission, you say the number. Just say it and look them straight in the eyes, okay? Don't quiver and, well, it is because of this, because that. You tell them the number. When you go through the net sheet, you write in the dollar figure, not the percentage. They ask you, you tell them what it is. They start pushing back. Okay, well, you've agreed, when we talked about marketing, Mr. Seller, you've agreed that the marketing that we do is over and above the competitors, right? We talked about how we're on television and our link system and all of our inter-office sales, our billboards. We've talked about that, right? So you realize we're driving more buyers to us on a daily basis than anyone else. Okay, so which part of that marketing would you like us to take out for your home? Because remember, the things I just mentioned, those are on a global level where we're driving buyers in, but also for your listing, we're doing more than anyone else. Floor plans increase buyer views by 70% online. They increase showings. They increase buyers coming over. They increase the action on the home. Do you want us to get rid of the floor plan? Which one of these would you like us to get rid of? Folks, you go to a store and buy something, right? You go to the cash register with 10 items and you say, hey, I'd like a discount. I don't want to spend more than $100. They're going to say, well, then put some things back so you stay under $100. They're not going to go, oh, okay. Oh. They're not going to do that. Now, if you get into the 11th hour of the listing appointment and you know you're at that point that you've gone back and forth enough times that you're like, if I walk out this door, I might lose this one. I'm just going to cave a little. Okay. Give up a half a point. Give up a quarter point. The other realtor's at 7 apples and I'm at 8 apples. Okay. How about we do 7.5 and we meet in the middle? I'm allowed to do 3 of them a month. This will be my second. I'll get it approved at the office. It'll be okay. Whatever you want to say. Blame us. Blame me. You see that guy on TV? He doesn't bend. He's a cheap Italian. I don't care what you say. I don't. We're in business. I don't run from it at all. At all. Once in a blue moon, you will get a client that is very stressed out about it and makes a big deal and can hold a grudge. We've had one of those in the last 12 months, and one of our best realtors had it, and I don't give a damn. That client can go somewhere else. We were supposed to help them in another state after selling here. They got all stressed out. Oh, you charge me more. I don't care. I know his whole family. And then one of his family members said something to me, and I said, what do you want me to do? When I come in and get haircuts at your barbershop, do I ask for a discount? He goes, no. I said, exactly. He goes, oh, my brother is a cheap bastard. I said, okay. I don't feel bad. Folks, we're in business. Now, the final line you should always say after some back and forth with the clients, remember this one, Shant's going to like this one. Someone's trying to chew you down on commission. You go through the back and forth, you go through the discussion, and then at some point you can look right at them and say, I know you've mentioned a few times the other realtor's charging Y. Look, I hate to throw shots, but if they can't even negotiate their own commission, how well do you think they're going to do negotiating top dollar for your home? And that's when they go, huh. Don't be scared, folks. Stand behind what you do. And folks, they'll respect it. They will respect it. They will respect you. I had a lawyer 15 years ago. I had a lawsuit, and I'll never forget. I spent like $8,000 and I got $9,000 in a settlement. And I emailed him after and I said, hey, you know, I spent $8 on you and I only got $9. I was hoping for a better result. You think you could give me a break on your fees? This is 15 years ago. He replied and said, we did not become partners in the case, Anthony. My bill stands. He's still my lawyer to this day. And honestly, I wish I never sent that email, honestly. I do. I wish I never did. I shouldn't have undercut him, but we're fine. I mean, he's been a family lawyer for years. So you guys get my point? Don't back down from it. And make sure you're paying special attention to what's going on in the market. I talked to our President's Club about that on Saturday. You've got to look at that email that Christine Miranda's been sending out every week. Shant looks at it, the graphs that we have, the weekly reports to show what's going on with inventory. People all over the industry look at it. Okay. Friend of mine in Marblehead, one of the top realtors in the state, he's like, one day Christine didn't send it out to the afternoon. He texts me, what are you guys running late over there? Because he looks every Wednesday. You've got to be on top of what's going on. And I also want to say one last thing before Shant comes up with respect to what I mentioned on my Crush It in Real Estate video last week. Folks, 1/3 of the year is still left. Don't be fooled into thinking you can't do a tremendous amount of business this fall. There are some sellers that are going to push off till the first of the year. And then when you get to the first of the year, they're going to say March. It happens every year. Might be a little bit more because people are so obsessed and fixated to their interest rate, but that's not going to last forever. People can say all they want. I'll never move. I'll never move. I love my 2.6% rate. Okay. When they have 3 kids in a 2-bedroom condo, that's going to get old real fast. Because I thought I had a big house till I had 4 kids. Now I feel like they're on top of me everywhere I go. Okay. So those things will change, but you've got to be in touch. You've got to be in action and on top of people. There's a lot of year left here. You can do a tremendous amount of business. Shauna Fanning out of our Braintree office 2 years ago had just had a baby. And her and I talked at the end of September. She said, yeah, I'm not going to make President's Club this year. I made it last year. I'm disappointed. What are you going to do? I said, well, Shauna, look, you did all you could. You just had a baby. Don't worry about it. She texted me the next morning. I won't say the vulgarities, but she said, I'm making President's Club. I am making President's Club. I just decided. She said, I'm going to stay locked in my house for 2 days and book a bunch of appointments, and I'm going on a tear. Shauna put 13 transactions under agreement in the following 4 weeks. 13. And she made President's Club. Okay. And that was like, her baby at that point was like 5 weeks old. Okay. Action and activities is what matter. You want to be slow in 90 days, slow down your activities now. You want to finish the year strong and have a lot of closings and go into the next year with momentum. You've got to hustle. This is a critical time right now. We go through critical times in the year. After Labor Day, after the first of the year, after July 4th. Because before July 4th, there's a lot of, well, I'm going to wait till after the 4th, wait till after the 4th. Late summer, I'm going to wait till after Labor Day, wait till after Labor Day. And then in about 60 days, you're going to start hearing, I'll wait till after the first of the year. So the hustle that you do now is what matters. Okay. Shant, come on up, sir. Shant's going to provide us with a mortgage update. He was with us in Washington, D.C. last week. He was on stage talking about things. And he's going to.
Sunglasses that I'll pass out after.
Sunglasses? Let's pass them out now. Let's pass them out now.
My timing is amazing.
Wow. Shant could not have showed up with a better gift, folks. Sunglasses for everyone, and everybody's sitting here in the sun. I'm going to take a pair, Shant. As long as there's enough, I'm going to take a pair. My kids have a pair, and I don't.
You guys this is like the best timing of a gift I've ever bought in my life.
Right?
There's some more. I don't know.
Sorry, Shant. Pass it off. You got to jump on
All
camera.
right, cool. I got to jump up. All right, cool.
All right.
And there's more, so I'll get them. All right, so My mic is,
Look at these things, huh? Look at these folks. Who wants a pair?
I think we got a hot mic now.
Yes.
all right.
We sent the presentation. Did I get it up here?
Oh, you're going to put it up here?
I mean, I don't have,
Where's Adam?
no big deal. No.
Here, talk for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Can you grab Adam so he can help get the presentation set up
'Cause
and
they
share it
won't be
on
able to see
Zoom?
online, right?
No,
Yeah.
give it 5. You got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, my big takeaway from DC, I'll just say while he's setting that up, couple things. Did you say the whole casual creates casualties?
I didn't say that.
No. So like my big takeaway from being in DC,
That's the best line I heard all week.
best line of the whole week, you know, and I said it to my team already, was one of the CEOs of one of the largest real estate companies in the world said that he said casual will create casualties in this business. And all he meant by casual approach, casual activity, you know, means you'll be irrelevant. And the other thing that somebody else said, like there were certain things that imprinted in my brain. And the other thing was that, you know, we're more relevant than ever in a changing market. You know, when things get hard, you know, and things become confusing, you know, to sellers and buyers, you know, we become more relevant. So they need us more than ever. So those are some of the big takeaways that I had from that DC trip. It was awesome. You know, as Anthony said, you know, activities, effort, you know, just all those things like marketing in a modern way, you know, in terms of what's going on. Like, that's kind of why we're here, right? Like why I'm here is just trying to kind of give you guys an update in terms of what's going on in the market. So we have a ton of information that we're going to provide to you and everybody out there. So that's why we're going to get the slides up because they won't be able to see it otherwise. Just in terms of what's going on in the market with inventory, with interest rates, you know, with inflation, all these things that I have some really, really cool, powerful slides that I want to show you guys. Was anybody on our market update yesterday? Cool. Hopefully the next time, can we do some more people? Come on. So we put together a really good market update yesterday. That was just like some of the almost the same exact stuff. So if you were on it yesterday and you want us to elaborate on anything, just have us, you know, just ask a question and then we'll go from there. All right, cool. All right, I can drive. Cool. We're sharing it with all you guys out there. If you can see me, I don't know. Cool. And if I just click, we're good. You can. Sure. Yeah, cool. You don't know if it's going to work? Okay, you can switch it to the next one. All right. So confirming that people out there can hear me? Is that possible? Cool. All right. All right. So, you know, just to recap kind of what we saw, you know, I always like to talk about like we've seen. So last year we saw, you know, when I say last year, I'm sorry, the first couple of months of the year, hottest real estate market in history, year over year, home price appreciation up 20%, interest rates doubled from 3 to 6%, and bidding wars reached 70 to 80% on all homes listed in the hottest markets in the country, right? Historically, that's like 25% pre-pandemic. Waived mortgage contingencies became the norm. You know, think about your offers accepted in January, February, March, April. You know, was there a lot of inspection contingencies, mortgage contingencies, or appraisal contingencies? Probably not, right? You know, cash buyers were about 30% of the deals out there, right? So, you know, think about that. 1 out of almost every 4, 1 out of every 3 deal was a cash buyer across the country. We saw super volatile stock market to start the year. That's continued up until even yesterday. And we saw the big talk economically was the concerns around inflation and supply chain issues, which is why the Fed's doing what they're doing. Next slide, please. Oh, no, that's this one. All right. What we've seen in the spring and summer, you know, increase in popularity of adjustable rate mortgages. I locked, you know, personally myself, about 5 loans yesterday. 4 of them were adjustable rate mortgages. Right now, they're about 1 out of every 5 deals in the country. It's the highest point in my career. I've been at this 20 years. Why are adjustable rate mortgages more popular or getting more popular? Because as rates go up, buyers are looking for ways to create a more affordable house for themselves. And so when rates are in like the 2s and 3s, it's easy. I'll just take the fixed rate, you know? there's not a lot of thinking that goes on to it. I'll get a historically low fixed rate. I can keep it forever. It creates a lot of stability. When rates spike up as fast as they have, people are like, oh, well, home prices are up, rates are up. I want to create a more affordable house. Adjustable rate mortgage is much more popular. The adjustable rate mortgages people are taking nowadays, not the same loan products that created the subprime meltdown in 2005, 2006, 2007. Principal and interest payments, fully amortizing. There's caps and protections for clients. 7 or 10-year adjustable rates, in my opinion, have been the most popular. So it's something we're definitely talking about to create more affordability. Recession talks, your clients are all going to be talking about recession, right? And it's important for you to know that that's coming. The media's talking about it, and people will come up with ways to talk themselves out of maybe listing their house or buying a house. Technically, we might be in a recession already. It's 2 quarters of negative growth. I think the reason they're not calling it a recession right now is it's been a slight decrease, and it's a slight decrease off the hottest economy ever, like in 2020 and 2021, where things were surging. So even though it's pulling back a little bit, it's not, they don't feel like it's a recession. I believe we're headed there. So I think it'll be talked about more in the news. And I think I'll show you guys some slides about how that's important to be able to talk through your clients. We're still seeing increased inventory. The term you guys use, and that I learned this year, is like active inventory, right? Stuff that just went on the market that stayed on the market. So that's been one of the big reasons that inventory's increased. And obviously just over the course of last week, we saw a lot of new inventory come on. I felt like a lot of real estate agents were waiting for Labor Day weekend, post Labor Day, to put new stuff on the market, so we just saw a bunch of new stuff hit market, which is great, because what that happens is that creates new interest and new activity. When people see something they want to buy, they apply for mortgages. Bidding wars have decreased drastically. So as in the first slide, I saw bidding wars in 70 to 80% of listings. It's back down under 50% in the most recent reports we got. I think we're headed back down to 25% in bidding wars. I personally will tell you that I saw bidding wars over the last 2 weeks on properties still. Okay. So I think it's just more important than ever. Those properties are obviously priced for bidding wars, right? They weren't like insane people just bidding whatever the heck they wanted on houses. Like agents are, it's more important than ever to just have really important data-driven conversations with your sellers to price them right. Bidding wars are still an option. Our economy's still good. People will still fight over housing, right? It just needs to be priced right. Okay. Refinance is not happening anymore unless somebody's going through a divorce, pretty much, right? Like the only refinances we're doing right now, we went from doing 50 to 100 divorces a week, 50 to 100 refis a week, to about one refinance a week right now. And that's the kind of stuff, at the beginning of the year, we were seeing people take out cash out of their homes and do refinances. That slowed down. Instead, people are taking out home equity lines because they don't want to lose the mortgage, lose the rate on their first mortgage. And we're seeing industry consolidation on the real estate side. We're seeing industry and right sizing of staffing. You're seeing a lot of these companies that grew a ton, and now they're having issues because it's not as busy, and they're changing their staffing, right? So I think we'll see a little bit more of that. And then lastly, consumer sentiment, largely driven by the media. The media is trying to make it sound like housing's not moving, and when in fact, I'll show you some of the stuff that's totally not the case. There's still a lot of activity in housing, but the media is grabbing onto headlines and making stuff sound like that maybe consumers should be afraid of housing, and that's not what we're seeing. Boots on the ground. Next slide, please. So from we're seeing the market's shifted, right? It's in my opinion better to be a buyer for many reasons. One, you have more to choose from. There's less competition out there. Historically speaking, that's always the way it is in the fall, right? We're starting to enter more of a traditional market. Obviously, things have changed. Rates have gone up, but it's starting to feel like a more traditional market. While it's also better to be a buyer, you can get things like contingencies and inspections and appraisals and mortgage contingencies, the normal protection that you normally would have that you weren't really able to have over the course of the last couple of years. Inventory's gone up, more to choose from. We're starting to see, if you're a real estate agent that started like in the last 2 years, or a buyer that entered the market in the last few years, you didn't know what a price adjustment was, right? And now we're starting to see price adjustments. And I think it was in July of 2022, we saw 7% of homes that were listed on the market adjust their prices. Average list to sales price ratio is coming down, I believe, by the end of this year. For the last pretty much 18 months, maybe 12 months, the average list to sales price was actually, the sales price is higher than the list price by 1 or 2% in the country. I think by the end of the year, it'll be back to even or under list price as the market shuffles. So pricing, obviously I'm a mortgage person, but I'm telling you right now, from talking to my clients, like pricing, if you want to, from a seller's perspective, is more important than ever, as I said earlier. And and then what I mean by what we've entered a more traditional market is two important things too. One, we're seeing a lot of the investors take themselves out of the market. So like the big corporations, like the Blackstones and all these big companies that came into the market started gobbling up investment properties. They're slowing down their buying. So that's impacting the market a little bit. And a lot of the people that were buying second homes, now they're back to traveling and vacationing, all that stuff. So they've taken themselves out of the market. So, and then all the people that a lot of the people, not everybody, but a lot of people that just moved when they people that all of a sudden rushed out of the city to get into the suburbs, or like had to have a home office or had to have, homeschooling or a yard or whatever it was. Like a lot of people made those moves already. So what we're seeing more again is a traditional market. So the people that just need to buy, like to Anthony's point, their family's grown, they're maybe they're buying their first home. They're finally starting to make some money. They're getting married, having kids, like just a more traditional market, which is what we typically see in the fall. So in terms of, oh, sorry, next slide. I didn't know you were, yeah, okay. This was a great headline that we saw in the news, and this is the important stuff. There was all over the news about a month ago. People are canceling real estate deals like crazy. 60,000 people canceled purchase agreements, about 15% of all deals, okay? The reason that's happening is not because people are freaked out about buying houses. It's because they have their contingencies back. If they actually have a home inspection, they're able to back out a deal because they find out what the inspection said, right? Maybe there's an issue with the roof or the foundation, or maybe it's much more they could chew on. If they get turned down for a mortgage, they're not forced to go out and get another mortgage product. They can actually take themselves out of the deal. If the appraisal comes in light, and the seller's unwilling to negotiate or something, they can back out a deal. Before, when you have no contingencies, you're forced to buy a house. Also, when there's no houses on the market, and something goes wrong, you're like, screw it, I'm just going to buy this house because I have nowhere else to go anyways. Whereas when there's more listings, people have options. So it's not that the market's collapsing, it's just that people have protections again and more options. And so that 15% number is exactly what it was pre-pandemic, which was a traditional fast moving market. Like 2019, 2018, 2017, those are all good years in real estate. It went on steroids in 2020 and 2021. And now some of those traditional things are starting to come back. So next slide. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully with your shades on, you can. It shows the months of inventory for homes for sale. So this represents less than 3 months of inventory, which is a seller's market. This represents a neutral market, which is 6 to 7 months. And this represents a buyer's market. Right now, we're still in a big time seller's market. Okay. So if you price your house right, it's still going to sell. Where even inventory levels will they're back to what they were in 2020, extremely hot market. They're higher than they were in 2021. Okay. I think we'd all agree that if you were in real estate if you were here in 2017, 18, 19, you were all complaining about inventory. We all were. I remember there was not enough homes, seller's market. We're still in that. If you take out the new construction stuff that's not even ready to sell out of the equation, like just a piece of land or something that's being marketed that nobody could really buy yet, it's really like less than 2 months worth of supply. So it's absolutely still a seller's market. Great time to put your house on the market and sell it, especially after 20% appreciation last Income is up almost, like 16%. So people are making more money because there's a shortage of workers. Employers are aggressively hiring. Okay. So that's helped quite a bit. The other piece is that, there's been a lot of wealth creation over the course of the last couple of years. Even though the stock market's having a tough year so far, it's still way ahead of where it was in 2018, 2019. So people are looking at their investments, their 401ks. Over the last couple of months, it's not been so hot, but it's still a lot more. They have a lot more cash than they did a couple of years ago. So, and then frankly, the other piece, the other great motivator that puts people into housing is when rents go up, and rents are astronomical right now. Okay. The average, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with clients where they just got rent renewals where rent prices have gone way, way up, and that motivates them to apply for housing right away, no matter where they live. Rents are way up all across the country. So that's also helped drastically. And I don't think that's going to slow down. There's a shortage of rental units. Inflation it gets passed on to renters immediately. Okay. And then housing, obviously there's another cool slide I have in here. Housing appreciation almost every single time that we've had inflation in our country beats it. So if you look at house appreciation, like right now, house appreciation is outpacing the inflation rates. That's happened almost every single time. Going back, one of the slides I have goes back to 1980. There was one time where they appreciated, inflation and housing were equal. Every other time housing appreciation beat inflation because housing's a hard asset, in a kind of, usually it creates instability in the markets. So people don't know where to put their cash. Right now, a lot of people, last year, everybody was buying everything they get their hands on, crypto, gold, stocks, all that kind of stuff. Now not looking so hot and create uncertainty. Whereas like home prices, it makes you appreciate how strong our housing market is. Every other market is getting their ass kicked in our country right now, in the world, and the US housing market is appreciated, right? So like it's a very safe place to put your cash. I don't think there's going to be, I think there's going to be a pricing correction. I truly don't think there's going to be depreciation in house prices. And here's why. Until you put discounted homes on the market and you have, short sales, foreclosures, distress sales, that's the word I was trying to think of. And the default amongst housing is so low. And I think we're a little bit away, and Anthony's far more bigger expert than I am in that stuff. But, if somebody gets in trouble right now, with the amount of equity in our country is at an all-time high, somebody has an issue, they're just going to put their house on the market. And they're going to cash in on their equity. There's not a ton of people that have, like they're upside down on their mortgages, right? The mortgages that have been written, the credit that was written is very, very strong. So, that will play a big part in it. I think right now, what the biggest challenge we're facing, housing is definitely driven by interest rates. Oh, we're back. Cool. All right. So, and I'm going to show you a really cool, next slide, if you can. That didn't work. You'll see. So what happened is at the beginning of the year, probably the first slide. This one right here. All right. I hope you guys can see it. So at the beginning of the year, rates were like 3.25%, all the way up until like mid-March, end of March. Mid-March, rates were still in the threes. Unbelievable interest rates, right? Super, super low. So when a client locks in a rate, average rate locks 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, right? And then they close on the house. So all these people that were in the market at the beginning of the year, up until mid-March, they closed by June, mid-June, end of June, all that kind of stuff. So that's why the market was extremely strong, crazy, we're talking about. Where we saw a little bit of a slowdown was two things happened. One, when everybody got into this market, the buyers that were still left that got into like really kind of around June, everybody kind of was okay with rates in the high fours, low fives. They were like, rates are still good. They're not in the threes anymore, but we knew they were going to go up. Yep, I adjusted for it. I'm making more money. I can afford it. When they started kind of bouncing around into the sixes, that's when you saw like the big slowdown, right? And people like, whoa, like, now let me pause my search, figure out if I can afford this, all that kind of stuff. When rates dipped, we saw a surge. All of a sudden, people were like, when there was a couple months ago, June and July, they kind of went back down to the fours for a second. We saw a huge uptick in activity. People were like, let me get in. They were sixes a couple weeks ago. Now they're back in the fours. Let me buy. And then they went back up again over the course of the last couple of weeks. So, people are just rebudgeting. I think what's really, really important right now is that, all your buyers that have been out there, or the ones entering the markets, they just got to be really prepared and understand their budget, their payments, their price points, their out-of-pocket expenses. Like, I think that's where we can help a lot, just making sure they understand their affordability and the different types of products out there. I think, just like I said, I really meant it at the beginning, like we're more relevant than ever, all of us. And I think that's where we can bring a lot in terms of like talking to our clients about, how much of their budget do they allow for housing? Can they stretch? Can they not? What kind of products can alleviate some of that stuff? What new products are coming out? We're excited. We just rolled out that Mass Dreams product that, it just came out a couple of days ago, where they're taking some of the leftover COVID money in the state of Massachusetts and pushing it over to potential first-time home buyers, which, we literally just rolled out the guidelines last night. And so I haven't even been in the office yet to go through it, but we're a mass housing lender. So we're going to be offering that Mass Dreams product, which essentially is a grant to help towards housing, which I think is going to help. Some other good news, the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loan limits have increased for 2023. We actually just announced that we're already using them. So, in a lot of these counties, Worcester County being one of them, it was 647,000 before. We can go all the way up to 715,000 on a conventional loan with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which means somebody can buy a house up to like 750 grand and put down 5% and get a conventional loan. So that will help here specifically, in Worcester, but that will help everywhere. No matter where you guys are, the conventional loan limits are going up. And we're already lending on the 2023 limits as of this week, right? So like stuff like that will help. You're going to see new products coming out as well. I don't know. I've kind of like went all over the place with the slides because we were down for a little bit. Let me just show you some other ones that I think are relevant. Am I driving at this point? Cool. From a mortgage rate perspective, these are the mortgage rates over the course of the last couple of decades. We're at 5.9% on a conventional loan. Jumbo mortgage rates are still much better than that, actually. So it's the opposite. When you borrow more than the conventional loan limit, you can actually get a lower rate right now than you can if you stay under the conventional loan limits. But historically speaking, outside of the last decade, these rates are still better, going all the way back to, I stopped after the 70s because who cares, right? But like, at this point, historically speaking, rates are still good. Like I remember when I bought my first house, I got a 5.5%. I'm not like my parents, right? I got a rate of 12%, but like I got a 5.5% adjustable rate mortgage at the time, right? Whereas like our adjustable rate mortgages right now across the board are still in the 4s or even in the high 3s in some cases, right? So like rates are still pretty awesome. I told you guys that everybody's projecting lower rates into next year, Fannie, Freddie, MBA, all that kind of stuff. Home appreciation. This is the slide I want to show you guys. This is what I was referencing. This is every time we've had inflation, the inflation's in blue and the red is the home price appreciation. Going back to the 70s, home price appreciation is outpaced inflation. Okay. So like when your clients are like, I don't know, stock market's down, inflation's happening, all that kind of stuff. Housing is a great place to hedge your bet against, everywhere else, everything else that's costing you more money. Okay. That will help you create wealth in a tough time. If you're a renter right now, you're fighting against everything. You don't have an asset that's appreciating. Your rent's gone up, your housing costs, and everything else you're buying, your energy prices, your food, everything. You're losing the battle right now. Whereas in housing, it's a great way to, really kind of stay in the game and fight against inflation. I'll show you guys this one. So somebody asked me what happens to mortgage rates or recession talks. This is the slide I was showing you that rates have come down in every single recession going back to the 1980s. And I believe we're going to be talking in a full-fledged recession next year. This shows that, and again, I don't know what you guys can see or not see, but, it also highlights how exactly what I said, like every single time we've been in a recession, mortgage rates have come down. Okay. And I think that will help. Generally speaking, what the US government counts on is housing pulling us out of any recession. Because when you buy a house, the amount of money that's spent on everything else to grow, from labor to services to goods, it's like, Anthony might know, but I don't know, but there's a number that goes hand in like the cost of buying a house outside of the house purchase itself leads to a certain amount of money spent. And it's like a huge number in terms of like goods, services, furniture, labor, work, all that kind of stuff. So it definitely spurs things along. Recession does not equal housing crisis. This is what I was talking about earlier. So the only time that house prices really got smoked in going back to all the recessions, going back to, again, 1980. And if you actually go back further, it's the same deal, is the recession that was caused by housing. All right. You know, I already told you guys there's not enough homes for sale in the country. There's a 3-month supply of homes. So it's definitely still a seller's market, but much better market to be a buyer in than it was last year. Hold on, Shant. All right, I'm just gonna, this is the Fed. So I personally think the Fed's talking really, really tough because they're trying to kind of scare the markets. They really do want things to slow down. I don't think personally they want to keep raising rates. I think they're just, I think for a while they were thinking, oh, they'll slow it down. Inflation will fix itself. And they're talking really, really tough right now because they need to get inflation under control. They want to get inflation down to 2%. Inflation's at 8% right now. They're going to raise rates in 2 weeks to another 75 basis points. I actually think they'll raise a couple more times this year. And then even though they're not saying it, I personally think they'll start cutting rates again next year. And that's why I think rates are going to fall next year. And that's why I think that you'll see a big refinance boom in 2023 and 2024. So I think that the buyers that get into the market this year are going to still see some home price appreciation, even into 2023, because as soon as things start to slow down in housing, when those rates come down, it adds like fuel to the fire and things take off. So there's a really, really good buying opportunity right now for anybody that's in the market right now. And it's a really good selling opportunity for anybody that wants to put the house in the market because of what's happened over the course of the last couple of years. So, you know, that's, I'm just sorry, I'm having a tough time reading it myself. You know, I will tell you. You know, I mean, that's all like the relevant data. I think you guys told me to keep it to a half hour, and I think it's been about a half hour, right? So, you know, ultimately, like, you know, I think that, you know, to what I said earlier, like, you know, I've said this a couple times when I've been with you guys, you know, and I learned a lot last week being in DC, talking to some really awesome people. I think just like really showing up right now is super important, right? Like having some of this information, being able to talk the talk. Like, I think when people ask you like, hey, what's going to happen? Like to say like, well, I don't know, like is not ever going to work, right? It's either having the questions yourself or answering the questions yourself and putting them in touch with somebody that can. And that's what we try to be for you. I think some of the things that we're doing right now that are helping people win, we're doing rate locks prior to somebody getting an offer accepted. So if somebody is uncomfortable with the rate environment, they're going to take themselves out of the market because they think rates are going to go up. We can lock a rate in before they have an offer accepted. We took on a bunch of deals yesterday, you know, that are still closing in September. So I think, you know, being able to close a loan in 10 days, 2 weeks, all that kind of stuff. You know, if you're a seller right now, your house is in the market and all of a sudden somebody shows up, makes an offer, maybe it's not the price point you want, but maybe you've been freaking out for a little bit and all of a sudden your buyer comes in and says, I can close by September 30th. Maybe you're willing to take that offer, right? And like we've seen that happen a lot with our clients because of how fast we've been able to close. We're still pushing pre-commitment real hard, you know, again, because that creates certainty in kind of an uncertain market, right? So like we'll underwrite your clients' files upfront in advance. So if we can underwrite it upfront and offer a super quick closing, like that might get the seller's attention and that will save the buyer money almost every single time, right? So those are some of the things that we're doing. And then just we're available to you like 24/7, truly like Saturday nights, Sunday nights, every night, you know, mornings, like whenever you need us, there's always somebody that's on call. Our goal is like really right now to step up and offer extraordinary service, right? Like just super transparency to your clients, great communication to you and your clients. Like that's how we're trying to separate ourselves. And then this kind of stuff, like being able to talk the talk with you. You know, I just had a realtor call me on the way here. And she was like, I just got to like, you know, I'm about to meet with my client. I have a couple questions. After our presentation yesterday, I got a bunch of requests for some of the slides. People like, hey, I'm having a seller meeting. Can you send me this slide or send me that slide? So like, we're here to help you just outside of just the mortgage, right? Like that's where we separate ourselves. And if you're putting them in touch, if you're letting them control the mortgage process right now, and they're like, hey, I'm going to call this company or that company, or you're going to put them on the phone with somebody that can't talk the talk right now, that's going to hurt your business, right? Because like people are asking questions, they're uncertain. So that's where we're like, I think we're taking the time to study, to learn, and to be able to communicate all this stuff to your clients to help you guys do more business, both on the sell side and the buy side. So that's a ton of data. I'm sorry that the slide thing went down, but you know, I think we got through important stuff. Questions? I will email you. So we only increased our Fannie and Freddie limits because we're still working on FHA right now. So I don't know. Yeah, but we increased Fannie and Freddie, and I think by next week we'll have FHA. FHA is a little bit more complicated with their limits, you know, than Fannie and Freddie are, because Fannie and Freddie have the same conventional loan limit across the board in all counties, whereas FHA is not the same.
What's that stop somebody that's going to be looking to buy who is looking to buy right now? What's that to stop them from pulling back if they have enough foresight to think that, rates are probably going to come down?
Great question. So, my take on that is that, the fall is always a better time to buy in terms of the price you're going to get for the house, right? And then you can always refinance the mortgage, like immediate. So if you get the house and say you buy a house for 500 grand today, and the spring, generally speaking, I still believe the spring market's going to be very, very strong. There's still not enough inventory for sale. It will get gobbled up, I think, in a lot of ways. It's not, the spring generally, like always, every market, there's always there's less competition in the fall and there's more inventory, right? So like, I think that you'll see home price appreciation next year. So although you're going to borrow the money maybe a little bit higher this year, you're going to buy it at a cheaper price. And then next year or the year after, when rates do come down, you can refinancing a mortgage, especially in a state like Massachusetts, is super easy and inexpensive, right? Whereas like some states are cost prohibitive, like New York or Florida, are a little bit harder to refinance in because the process of refinancing is easy, but the cost to do it sometimes a little bit higher. So, you get the house at hopefully a discounted price right now versus what it will be next year or the year after, but you can lower the borrowing costs on it and save some money. That's my take. What other questions? Cool. So we'll have more information for you on the FHA limits. We're going to roll out the Dreams program, which is really exciting stuff over the course of the next couple of days as well. Yes. We're going to send out the whole presentation. So I recorded it yesterday. We covered every slide in detail. I tried to do a condensed version of it today. It took me about 50 minutes yesterday when I did it. So we'll send it out to everybody. And if there's any slides that you specifically want, we'll send them to you. You just got to let us know.
Shant,
I'm just trying. What happens is anytime I do something like this, every mortgage person on the planet rips off my slides and uses it as their own. So I'm going to send them to my realtor partners. But like, every time we put our slides out there, like next thing you know, everybody's using the same slides and not crediting me for it. It drives me nuts. So you guys can use them because you guys do business with us, but they're our competition. Yeah.
Shant, are buyers starting to pay points to lower rates?
Absolutely. Question is, buyers starting to pay points to lower rates? 100%. So other than adjustable rate mortgages, we're talking to clients, especially on investment properties and second home. We're talking to them about points as well. So what points are is when a buyer prepays interest upfront. In return for that, they get a discounted rate. So in that case, all we do is like a cost benefit analysis. If you pay me as a bank $3,000 more upfront in a point, as an example, but it saves you $100 a month, at what point do you break even where you recoup that money and then are left with a lower payment? So I'm finding that on the point side, we're seeing them a lot more on second homes and investment properties because of the way those are priced out right now. And it's a better deal. We analyze that for you. On primary residences, if somebody tells me they're going to be in the house, for a relatively decent amount of time, I have no problem. I'm very opinionated, but I also like my opinions are based on information, in fact, like stuff that I study. I really do think we're going to see a refinance boom in the next 24 months. So rather than paying points, I'm just telling them, making sure they can afford it. If they can't, then we're talking points. But if they can, then just banking on, me calling them, letting them know when rates come down and we can refinance their mortgage. Great question. Sorry I didn't bring that up.
Thank you, Shant.
All right, cool. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Saying that for a year.
I gave you credit for that. Yeah. Cool. It is. Yeah, cool. Awesome. That's all I got. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.